Hey, Arkansas USA Wrestling. Good evening to everybody out there. Very exciting series, continuing our podcast series. We've talked with our coaches that have started wrestling in Arkansas and then went through their college careers and now are coaching. We talked to our first national champion on the collegiate side, Nia Dinwiddie, and now very honored to bring you our five Silver Certified USA coaches, and knowing this, we'll talk with Eric Dubowsky here in a little bit about it. There's only a certain number of coaches that are Silver Certified in the country, and it's kind of a neat honor to look at the people that the coaches that are on this panel tonight and the passion they put into the sport. To have five silver coaches in Arkansas is amazing. So exciting opportunity to hear from these coaches tonight, what the course looks like, and how we can continue to grow in the state of Arkansas. With that, we're going to talk to our first Silver Certified coach in history. That'd be Vance. Vance, how you doing tonight, brother?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about your journey. Wrestling Catholic high school, right, in that area, and then through
Right,
USA Wrestling.
right. Yeah, so I wrestled. I attended high school out in California, and I started wrestling out there. And joined the Marine Corps right after high school. After that, went to college, and I did a little intramural wrestling at Texas A&M. Back when it was just Aggies wrestling Aggies, we didn't actually get to travel and do club wrestling like they do today. And so when my youngest son, Luke, decided that he wanted to wrestle and he wanted to attend Catholic High, I just asked if I could get in the room and help out a little bit, to get some time back into it because I just love the sport so much. And I guess about 3 or 4 weeks into me just being in the room, uh, COVID broke out, and everybody had COVID but me, as far as the coaches were concerned. And so I jumped through all my certifications and became a certified volunteer coach there at Catholic High. And I just caught the bug, and I just wanted to be the best coach that I could absolutely be. So I just kept following the steps and eventually got my silver certification.
Outstanding, brother. And then the second one to pull it off, Eric Dubowsky. How'd you get involved with silver certification and find yourself in the course?
Thanks, Coach Moore. Yeah, so I got involved, looking to help, clearly serve on the youth folk style committee for a number of years. And one of the things we were having here in state was trying to push, sort of the national standard of getting our coaches copper and bronze certified. So I looked through the program and I saw, some of the silver tasks. I thought they were pretty interesting. And, a lot of times when someone does it, then, other people get behind you. And I was like, let me put my foot in the water and take a shot at it, and it's been an absolute blast. So, went from we look like Coach Vance had, and then myself, and now we got five. We got five total here. And really, if I'm correct, looking here in the computer, only about 500 total silver certified coaches in the country, give or take a little bit. So, we're doing pretty good here in Arkansas.
That's awesome, brother. And then I will be number three, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then I'm trying to think, Josh, you were four, and then Jeff, you're our latest one, right? Or other way around?
I think it's the other way around.
Okay. Jeff, how did
Yeah.
you get into getting your silver certification? And
So I'm a glutton for punishment. I like data. I never wrestled, and so I tried to supplement it with education, which I know that for wrestlers that's probably pretty difficult. But for me, that's the only thing I can rely on. And so as I worked my way up, I did teal, having a little girl that wrestled. I thought that was important. Then, obviously copper for state, and then I said, well, why stop here and sign up for bronze? And bronze was going to be it. And as soon as I finished bronze, the day I finished bronze, I signed up for silver, and it took me about a year as well, I think, to complete all that. Quite a few tasks. So
great stuff. And then Coach Rivers, you've been in Arkansas for a spell. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you to silver.
I've been here since the beginning, so I feel like I've been watching the coaches carousel, and I've just been standing here. But I saw you guys do it, and then we have a pretty good wrestler, and Madeline Madrano and the sisters there, and Melanie, and she's got a real big passion of wanting to go and wrestle internationally, and she wants to make the Pans team and wrestle in the Pan American Games. And so she's like, well, coach, I want you to coach me there. And I was like, I don't know, kind of like all the logistics of what that looks like. But I was like, well, that's like Silver Certified really helps you. So asked you and, trying to see kind of what that process looks like. And then I got on, I was like, well, the women's national tournament's going on and the Silver Certified Coaches College is going on. So I was like, I'm just going to start. And, it was a very rewarding process. There's a lot of things that, I thought for myself, like I had been seeing trends, and then those courses like reinforced it. So it was good.
Yeah, and while I got here, Coach Rivers, one of the things that stood out to me was the 3D coaching model, and we'll talk a little bit more about each one of the certification tasks and pull that up here in a little bit. People get curious of what it means to be silver or what work you have to do. But to me, I think you talk about like trends in wrestling, but the 3D coaching, and I'll pitch this to all of you, man, and I've been a coach for about 15 years now here in Arkansas, coming from a place of love, right? We're a combat sport. We like to beat people up, and that's part of our, our mantra is to take people to the dark side of the deep end of the pool. But a 3D model, I for me, it touched me. Like a lot of it was talking about love your athletes, pay attention to your athletes. How do you apply that now? And did that stick out to you at all?
To me, personally, I mean, I've been in the high school coaching scene for, 13 years now. It's kind of crazy, but like as I am, like all these people, certain coaches will say like, oh, they're just not as tough as they are, they used to be, or this, that, and the other. And I'm like, man, it's just different. Like these kids, like they got to deal with a lot more things that we might not necessarily had to put up with, like the social media stuff, like that they have to go through, and some of the pressures and the likes and all that stuff, man, that's just crazy. And so, like things that I've already kind of done, but like it kind of reinforces like you building those relationships with those kids and understanding what your kids go through and like what makes them tick, and what gets the most out of those kids. And I think the course does a really good job on hitting things like maybe you do some things, but adding more value to like how you can be more intentional with those guys and girls. Oh.
Good stuff. And then one of the other valuable pieces, I think, to the silver certification is, along with the networking piece of it, is the cohorts, right? So we got on the band app and we had to do some assignments. Coach Marshall, what did you think about the 1 to 4 and those kind of assignments that you were working through that silver process?
It was rewarding for me because obviously I learned a lot, but obviously seeing these coaches all across the United States, I mean, there were some guys there that college level coaches, and so coaching for 30, 40 years in the same course, rubbing elbows with you and looking at how they coach and how they approach it versus how I do it. It was much more me looking at them as a networking, even in the cohorts, looking at them and saying, okay, how can I make myself better? I really like the way they did this, or I really like the way they did that. And just kind of taking notes about it. I mean, you're in the cohort with all walks of life, and so you're definitely not the smartest person in the room in that group.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I had some good experience there, like things that I learned or seen in you have to record yourself, doing a practice and stuff. And being able to look at some of these other, like you said, high level coaches for, university programs that are getting their silver certification and seeing how they run all the way down to youth, hey, just like us, hey, I'm just a guy wanting to get more certifications. So there is a very broad range of experience. But yeah, that cohort was great. And Coach Cornelison, when you seen that, when you got to do the book review task and then talk about the other tasks that are probably more introspective than they were sharing with the cohorts or other people, what did you think about that aspect of silver?
I really enjoyed the book review. I dug into that one. I think I mentioned earlier, I travel a lot. And so I always found time to read, and I really enjoyed that. It gave me more ideas for my practice plans and a little bit more philosophy. I've always felt like wrestling has so much to offer all of us, not just in the sport, but in life itself. And so reading some of those books and doing those reviews really helped expand that for me.
Yeah, that was awesome. I enjoyed that piece too. So Eric and I traveled together to Silver College, and we got to talk about that book, and kind of find a touch point on that and be able to share. And that's another thing too, is that as you get this silver, I know all five of us have talked about it, and you see other people on the circuit that went to the silver course with you. Two coaches from Virginia that were there. I see them all over the country, and they're just like, "Hey, guy," So it builds a bond, not just in the cohort, but as you see them at the Silver College and continue. And then that's what I want to kind of follow up with Coach Dubowsky. You've actually started your gold process. Eric has already presented at the Silver College and working through his gold, but what kind of doors did that silver open up for you as far as the Olympic Training Center and those connections?
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, it's been awesome. I've had a couple chances to go out and coach at the Olympic Training Center. A lot of it again is the networking piece, meeting people. When you go to these national level events like Silver College out at Women's Nationals or Silver College when we did it out at Penn State for the Olympic trials, and had a chance to go out and spend two separate weeks at the Olympic Training Center and watching a lot of these some silver level coaches, some gold level coaches, of course the Olympic Training Center staff coach and really put into place what we're learning, through the leadership program. What they're doing in the Olympic Training Center is what they're passing on. We'll joke about it. People will say, they call them the pirate coaches. You've heard it from Marty Hauk, gold level coach, internationally wrestling coach. They have no problem giving you information on how they're doing it, and it's great to pass along here locally and in state. So coming back and just sharing that with my friends and other coaches here has been awesome.
Yeah, that's another thing I loved about the program too, is that everybody's rooting for you on, right? They want and we did get the opportunity. I think Coach Marshall, I think Coach Rivers was up there too when Coach Houck was in town and did his pirate coaching and just said, "Hey, take what I got, I'll give it to you," right? And the networking piece also, and I want to let Coach Marshall talk about this. Being able to network, we're talking about Joan Fulp and what you were able to do, your work on the youth board this year. Talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind, and those connections and networking and how your silver actually opened that up for you.
So we were tasked with evaluating the weights at the youth level. During the evaluation, we kind of found some suggestions in girls, and it's just numbers. It's historical data, but none of us have a point of reference to say, okay, in the past, if you do this, this is what the outcome should be. Nobody in the state really has seen that, and so we started to look outside the state to figure out, okay, what should we do? And so I leaned very, very heavily onto this silver certification. When I was up there, I met Andrea Yamamoto, and she was my first phone call. And I said, hey, I would really like to talk to you about this. And the wrestling community is great. Just like Marty, hey, absolutely, come on in. We set up several conversations, probably a couple hour conversations, and then she, brought Miss Fulp in. Joan talked to me, and then of course brought Catherine Shy, and then it just kind of spider away from there. And so we really got some good data to present to the youth board to say, hey, this is our suggestion, and this is why this is our suggestion, because our point of reference was there was nothing there, and so to be able to reach out to those guys and then be so willing to say, hey, here it is. This is what we did, what we would do. This is why we would do it. I mean, it was so valuable.
Yeah, that is awesome. It was great work on it, but yeah, invaluable to have those connection network. And now you have them in your phone forever, right? They know
Absolutely.
who Coach Marshall is. And then the other piece, Coach Rivers, you've probably been coaching the longest out of us here. It's not just the book work and the videos. There was a lot of technique that was passed along too. I know it. We all went to different silver schools, but the one Eric and I were at, where we had Terry Steiner and Coach Kreibel and those doing some technique. What kind of technique stuff were you able to pick up from the silver?
Man, Justin Ruiz did a lot of Greco stuff when we were there at the women's national tournament, and he was the big presenter there, and his Greco technique and like how to apply it for freestyle and for folk style, I thought was really like my book and my hand were really fast, trying to take as much videos as I could. But I thought it was great networking, and I also think like kind of going back to like the cohort thing. Sometimes as coaches, like we just fall into our own like lane and kind of deal with like for me, it's like I'm just worried about my kids right now, and maybe I don't think I can have value to other coaches, but doing that cohort and like having to have like that self reflection and like post your videos of you coaching and stuff, and like sometimes it's kind of like going outside your shell a little bit because we're always critiquing kids and no one else is critiquing us unless it's the parents or somebody out in the crowd. But I thought like having a network of coaches that were like looking at your videos and like, hey, you really do this really well, or hey, can you make another video about what you do on this portion? And like, I thought that was like pretty cool, and like it was like kind of eye opening for me. Like, well, maybe there are some people that really want to like see some of the stuff that I do, and then like sitting there at the Silver College and like the different clinicians there and like just being surrounded by like some really high level people and watching their technique and then sharing ideas and stuff. Like it was a really cool experience, and like you're just able to ask questions and take numbers down, and you're like, hey, like sitting at a table one at this session, the next session, you don't know who's really sitting there, and you're just kind of gathering information, and I thought it was cool.
Yeah, we were Eric and I were at the Olympic trials for ours, so it was like, hey, Adeline Gray's warming up down there. Everyone go look at the window and like, hey, so and so walking in, and like we have a break, and there would be all these Olympic wrestlers, Olympic coaches, and so it was an exciting opportunity to see that kind of stuff there as well. And again, talking about technique with the Marine instructor showed me a Greco move when he just choked me out basically, and I was like, "Semper Fi, Semper Fi, yeah, Marine, don't kill me." But yeah, it was a great process. And then Eric and I had the pleasure of meeting Tom, Coach. What was his last name?
Oh, Tom Justice
Tom
from Lock
Justice.
Haven.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's Tom Justice from Lock Haven. I
If
got
you
his
have
book.
not met Tom Justice yet, then you need to find a way to meet him.
Well, I think the way Coach you can describe Coach Justice is that he wrote a book of 700 pages of takedowns from his decades long career in wrestling. And if anyone wants to
Coach
see it,
Dubowsky has a
I
copy of
have it.
it.
I have a copy of it.
It's the
700
greatest.
pages of takedowns.
It's the greatest. Hey, Coach Cornelison, kind of in a few words, if someone was to ask you why do silver course, what would you tell them?
Like I was saying earlier, if you just want to become the best coach you can be, um, would be the top reason I think. It just really it starts you from the very bottom level foundation and builds you all the way up to the top. It makes you think about your reason why that that you're doing this. And I think one of the other coaches, Coach Rivers, I think you mentioned talking about becoming more involved and building a better relationship with your athletes. All of those things. I mean, there's just so much to it that just really enriches your coaching overall.
Great process at USA Wrestling, great group of people. Coach Rivers, what do you say to somebody that's thinking about getting their silver?
I think it's like if they're thinking about it, they should just do it. I think the process is not, it can seem overwhelming when you're looking at all the tasks, but if you really just think about doing one task at a time, like it's pretty straightforward and they go pretty quick. The only things that are going to kind of give you a hiccup, but have the most like to do. Like, I mean, obviously your 3D coaching is going to take you a little bit. Those are a lot of modulars, but there's a lot of value in that. Your cohort, which is going to span like 7 weeks, but you're submitting your practice plans. You know, you're putting your videos up there. You're talking like it goes by quick. I think like it's almost like, oh, that was 7 weeks. And then you gotta get out to the Silver College. But Coach Slay has even talked about trying to get one in Northwest Arkansas when G1 opens up, and that will be I think that would be a pretty cool deal. Maybe a good kudos to our state. That'll be like really close. Maybe that traveling or something might be out of the question for some people, but at least we can
Absolutely.
set
Yeah, that
something
would
up
be
here.
awesome if we can get a Silver College in our area. And then let's wrap it up with Coach Dubowsky here. The process and the networking side, everything. You're on the executive committee, or you're on our youth committee. You're an official. What does silver fit in for you, and why should someone get their silver?
Well, I think hearing talk about like those cohorts, like hearing Coach Vance and Coach Rivers and Coach Marshall and yourself speak, right? I think what really sticks out of my head, what Coach Vance said at the beginning or midway through the podcast, was that if you want to be the best coach you can be, you want to be a complete coach. And the first thing that comes to my mind with silver is I was out, I coached the cadet women's team for our state. Our women's program is growing really fast here in Arkansas. It's growing triple digits. But we're still getting to that phase where we can compete with some of our surrounding states and nationally. And so we go out to these duels, and I put in a lot of the things that I've learned through the silver program. And the response I got from my wrestlers was I had never been coached like that. I think a lot of times Coach Rivers said it, no one ever analyzes what we do. We learn from the people that coached us, and this program really does help you become the best coach you can be. Between the networking, there's the officials module, there's 3D coaching, the networking piece. How many times have every coach on this podcast have you reached out to someone you met and said, "Hey, can you help me out with this? Hey, someone got stuck on this move. I need help here. Hey, I need a weight management plan. Hey, I need an idea." And so it really is, just to finish up for me, it is the way to be. A lot of this stuff you're doing already in your rooms with your athletes, but it'll take you to the next level to be the most complete coach and the best for you and the people you work with.
That is awesome. And again, this could be a little bit different, but for each of us. But I would say, like, if someone's asking, what's the cost? I would say you should probably budget around $800 to $1,000. I think a couple of the courses cost $300. The 3D model was 225, 250, and then your travel and stuff like that. And the Silver College was our Silver College 600.
I think it was less than that. I think it was only
Yeah,
like 300, 400
yeah,
bucks.
450 or yeah, depending. I think you get a discount if you're a high performance leader. You get a little cost reduction. But yeah, I think you're right on line, coach. Like, right around $1,000.
Yeah. Well spent though.
All right. So again, last minute thing, I couldn't get Mike on, but he just texted back, so we'll be able to make it. But give all of you his best. You guys know Mike, and he's going to probably watch our podcast. So thank you, Mike, for being inspirational in what you do and the programs that you got. I know all of us have been affected by that, as you can see here, and our continued growth in the state. But again, a kudos to each one of you on this call for stepping up and taking that next level and again helping us encourage and build the state of Arkansas, as you all know, on the USA Wrestling side and our high school side we're growing, but USA Wrestling exponential, right? What we've been able to do with our athletes, a Pan Am champion, gold medalist, women's national champion. We got the Madranos coming up. I could just start naming off all kinds of people we got coming up. But the coaching expertise that we have in the state with our organic coaches and what you for myself included, what we're adding back to this state is only going to help that grow some more. So I'm very proud to be a part of this group. I'm proud of the efforts that you put in there. And so here's my task to you. My task to you as we leave is let's go find us two female silver certified coaches. So the next time we do this, we have seven of us on there. Okay, everyone there. So talk
All
to
right.
talk to the
I
female
like it.
coaches in your club in
Good.
your sphere, And we need 2 female certified silver by next year. All right. I appreciate you all. Again, Team Arkansas proud, and I'll see you guys on the circuit.
All right, man. See you, Rob.
Have a good one,
See ya.
everybody.